KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years. Matson and the Adayitano program. Harley-Davidson of Guam. Visit our new showroom now located on Route 8 in Mighty. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, located in Tamuning and Dededo. Always open, always local.
History being made, unofficial results from the general election. Plus, trial begins for former Guam Police Colonel Mark Charfras. Crystal Paco has the story from Superior Court. And the Archdiocese of Agana is bankrupt. The latest from a news conference held this afternoon. Hafade and good evening. We'll get to your Decision 2018 news in a moment, but first, tragedy hits the tourist district. An airman is dead after being pulled from the waters off Tumon. It happened around 1:30 p.m. on Tuesday near the Westin. First responders with the Guam Fire Department were called to the scene. Anderson Air Force Base officials confirmed the airman was found unresponsive near Tumon Bay. The military could only say the victim was deployed to Guam. Officials are not yet releasing the service member's name until next of kin has been notified. The cause of death is under investigation. History was made. Guam elected its first female governor in Lou Leon Guerrero. The Election Commission must still certify the results. The unofficial tally, final tally, shows a lowly 66% turnout. Here's a look at the numbers, including the legislature, Washington delegate, and attorney general results. The Lou Leon Guerrero Josh Tenorio team pulled out to a big lead in a three-way race with Republicans Ray Tenorio and Tony Atta and Democratic write-in candidates Frank Uggan Jr. and Alicia Limtiaco. The only question as the night wore on, whether Lou and Josh would reach the 50% plus one vote threshold to avoid a runoff. The final tally, Leon Guerrero Tenorio 18,081 or 50.7%, Tenorio Atta 9,419 or 26.41%, and for the write-in votes there were 8,161 or 22.8%. The legislative race shows a 10-5 Democratic supermajority and the same margin in female-to-male senators-elect. All 7 incumbents who ran were re-elected. The top 15, Therese Terlahi, Talina Nelson, Joe San Augustine, Tina Munya Barnes, Mary Torres, Amanda Shelton, Regine Bisco Lee, James Moylan, Louise Munya, Clinton Rigel, Kelly Marsh, Will Castro, Sabina Perez, Tello Taitigui, and Jose Terlahi. In the Washington delegate race, Democrat Michael San Nicolas beat Republican Doris Flores Brooks 19,053 to 15,263. For Attorney General, Levin Camacho defeated Douglas Moylan in a landslide 23,802 to 11,344. And for the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, the 3 board members are Simon Sanchez, Michael Limtiaco, and Francis Santos. Some rather tense moments the night of Super Tuesday before the unofficial final results were announced. History is made as the territory will welcome its first female governor, as we said, and first openly gay lieutenant governor. KUAM's Nick Delgado has more on the long night over at the headquarters for Democrats Lou and Josh.
The excitement went well into the early morning at Change City in Agana.
History is made, Guam getting its first female governor.
Many here optimistic as they waited for the GEC to release the results. After a night of dancing, greeting their supporters, and waving along Marine Corps Drive, Governor-elect Lou Leon Guerrero and Lieutenant Governor-elect Josh Tenorio took to the stage moments after getting the final numbers. Lou says she is humbled by the outcome.
We are extremely grateful for the opportunity given to us to make a positive change for all our people.
A tight race for the duo, towing the 50% plus one mark throughout the night before getting just enough for the win. Both say they are ready to get to work at Adelaide.
First order of business is to meet with our leaders, our supporters, and get our organization together for our transition committee, and meet with Governor Eddie Calvo and his team to work through the transition period and what we need to do.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a banner that's on the table.
Call Senator Frank Uggan, and also
it's on the table with the cake on it. But we want everybody to sign those markers there, so please, this is an historic day for the people of Guam and our island. So once again, we want you to sign the banner
and to address
Maybe
the
after,
challenges
before you
that
get
we are
your
being
food.
faced.
And getting a lot of time so that we can be prepared to get in there and start our work on day one. And as you know, our day one is looking at the finances, making sure that we stabilize finances, and that we stabilize health, education, and public safety. But more importantly, or just as important, reaching out to the government employees at all levels, understanding what exactly they would like to see, what are the things that they've been longing for, and of course understanding the customers of the government, the people of Guam. So a lot of tremendous work, very excited. This is our specialty.
The win comes as the governor-elect celebrated her birthday with everyone at the campaign HQ.
The work begins now. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you, we love you, God bless Guam.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, Guahusinek Delgado.
The gubernatorial challengers are not yet ready to concede. Republican candidates Ray Tenorio and Tony Atta released a brief statement thanking supporters, but adding, quote, because of the slim margin for a 50% plus one declaration and the absentee ballots that remain to be counted, it is prudent that we wait on this process to be completed next week, end quote. And Democrats Frank Argan Jr. and Alicia Limtiaco amended an earlier statement congratulating the Lou and Josh team. A later release states that they are waiting on the receipt, review, and count of the absentee, homebound, and provisional ballots. It goes on to say that any concession statement will be addressed pending the certification of the final results. The Election Commission is scheduled to meet again on Thursday, November 15. Another one for the record books in the senatorial race. The final tally, a win for Democrats and women who swept the majority of the seats. Carmen Terlahi reports.
Who run the world? Well, in Guam's 2018 general election, women.
I'm very glad to see a majority Democrat. I'm glad to see all the women come in. I'm glad to see our new candidates that are so qualified come on in.
Running for re-election, Speaker Teresa Terlahi kept the top spot. The final count, a Democrat supermajority with 10 Democrats and 5 Republicans. Of those, the majority, women. All incumbents were re-elected, including Democrat Senator Regine Lee and Senator Talina Nelson.
I think we've done a really good job of working together in our Women's Caucus, and I want to continue that work.
I look forward to also us working together. It is going to be a very interesting group. A lot of us are very well experienced in our personal lives, but also in our careers.
Careers like serving previous terms in the Guam legislature. For Republican incumbent Senator Luis Muña, a women majority was no surprise.
That's the reaction I got. It's like, oh, we're going to vote for mostly women. Not that I don't think the men have not really done, not that I don't think they've done a good job. I just think people are ready for a change.
And for first-time Democrat candidate and Senator-elect Dr. Kelly Marsh Taitano.
This is a wonderful moment to see some of maybe that matrilineality just continuing along and seeing what females and the different ways that we might be thinking, being very community-oriented a lot of times, being very family-oriented a lot of times, how we might be making some differences.
Men now a minority in a women's legislature. Incumbent Senator Joseph Augustine enthusiastic about working together.
We have 3 kids, 2 daughters. I have 9 grand. 6 of them are girls. So working with women is a pleasure.
The top 15 also include Mary Torres, Amanda Shelton, James Moylan, Clint Rigel, Will Castro, Sabina Perez, Tello Taitagui, and Jose Terlahi. The women majority joined a national trend after the U.S. mainland midterm election. Female candidates continue to make waves in the polls. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Carmen Victoria Terlahi.
Sticking with the results, the congressman-elect took to social media responding to his win. Senator Michael St. writing a prayer of sorts, stating, quote, there is not a doubt in my mind nor an ounce of reservation in my heart in declaring that this is the Lord's victory. St. adding, we answered this call to minister to your people, Lord, as their public servant. St. took the delegate spot over Doris Flores Brooks by more than 3,000 votes. Here's John Paul Manuel, who is St. Nicholas's campaign chair.
I've been with Senator St. Nicholas since the very beginning, and knowing him personally, I know that he is a man of integrity, that he is a man of his convictions, and that he really believes in the people of Guam and the promise of what we can do better in the future.
St. Nicholas advanced to the general election after beating longtime Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo during the primary. Levin Camacho won the Attorney General race in a landslide over former AG Douglas Moylan, 23,802 votes to 11,344. The 40-year-old lawyer says a top priority will be addressing drugs and crime.
A very good and effective program. As of today, though, it's not available to people unless you are charged with a drug offense. So if you are a theft, you have a theft case and you're stealing to support a drug habit, you aren't eligible necessarily for the drug court program. So maybe we need to look at expanding that program to figure out what the real cause of, you're not breaking into a car to get rich, you're breaking into a car to support your drug habit.
Camacho will also target graft and corruption, but he says cultivating a culture of robust public accountability will take time.
Sometimes people just don't know what the rules are. And we've seen in the news recently where you have agencies or boards or directors who just quite frankly haven't been advised properly. So I want to look at how the AG's office can be proactive and get in there and give advice to, we're probably going to have new directors, new boards that are going to be formed. How can we get in there at the very beginning and make sure they're on track versus waiting for a mistake to be made?
And Camacho says he plans to continue current litigation involving federal territorial issues, such as the land trust and native inhabitant-only plebiscite cases. Stick around for more news here on Primetime. You're watching KUAM.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round-trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
These are our islands, and this is our Laddystone. This is what we stand for and who we are. For more than 35 years, we delivered connections that matter throughout the Marianas. First, via radio link, then by fiber optic cable. We launched the region's first 4G LTE network and continue to make our network faster and stronger. Telecommunications changed the way our islands interact with the world, but not the heart behind those interactions. IT&E. Explore your world.
Everyone saves money on Black Friday, but at Cars Plus in Mighty, you can save all month long during our Black Friday sales event. Right now, save up to $10,500 on a new Ram 1500, or save up to $6,000 on a new Chrysler 300. How about a new Chrysler Pacifica? Save up to $4,000. Buy today and receive a Cars Plus value card, where you'll get 21 cents off per gallon at all Shell stations. Get great deals all month during Cars Plus Black Friday sales event. Cars Plus, driven by you.
Chuck E. Cheese's Guam is not all fun and games. Our pizza is delicious with the freshest toppings, oven-baked to order. Try the fresh salad bar, sandwiches, and don't forget our mouth-watering wings. Come and eat at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam.
Welcome back. The man charged with killing a Dededo teen earlier this year pleads not guilty to aggravated murder, and home invasion. Brandon Acosta appeared in court on Wednesday. Acosta was already behind bars in another case when he reportedly confessed to killing 15-year-old Tamika Nauta during a burglary at her home. He also reportedly confessed that his drug problem made him do things he wouldn't otherwise do. Acosta's next court appearance is November 27th. The Archdiocese of Agana held a press conference today announcing that it is filing for bankruptcy. Crystal Paco reports on why the church believes this is the best way to bring the greatest measure of justice.
Bankruptcy. It only makes sense. The Archdiocese of Agana announcing on Wednesday plans to file a Chapter 11 reorganization proceeding in the U.S. District Court of Guam sometime between mid-December and mid-January. Bankruptcy counsel Ford Elsesser.
For many dioceses, this is the only way to fairly deal with the claims of the abuse survivors and at the same time provide for the continued operation of the mission of the church, including, of course, the parishes and the schools.
Archdiocese lead counsel Keith Talbot echoing those sentiments.
Bankruptcy does two really good things for us. One is its finality. And finality is for the Archdiocese going forward, Finality also is an option or is an aspect of bankruptcy that's very helpful with insurance carriers. The other part is bankruptcy is the method to deliver the greatest measure of justice to the greatest number of victims. And that's obviously an objective for not only the Archdiocese, but the other co-defendants, and certainly the plaintiff's counsel as well.
The decision to file bankruptcy followed September efforts to mediate. Of the 180-plus clergy sexual abuse lawsuits, only 2 cases were settled. Their settlement amounts were not disclosed. The announcement comes ahead of Thursday's Joint Status Conference in the District Court of Guam. But what does this mean for the local church and its Catholic schools? It shouldn't mean much. Other dioceses had no interruption in operations or services. Archbishop Michael Burns.
The reason we've made this move to pursue bankruptcy is our commitment to the victim survivors. We're convinced that this path will bring the greatest measure of justice to the greatest number of those victim survivors. That's the heart of what we're doing.
In a press release from attorney Anthony Perez, who represents a group of plaintiffs who filed suit, the announcement is welcome news. He adds, quote, just because the Archdiocese is filing for bankruptcy does not mean it will go out of business, end quote. To watch the press conference in its entirety, visit our Facebook page. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Crystal Paco.
They were pulled over for a traffic violation but arrested on drug charges. Mark Anthony Mayo and Johnny Kitaro Bloss were exiting a game room when police spotted their car didn't have expiration tags on the license plate. While pulling out his driver's license, court documents state Mayo flashed a large sum of cash in his wallet along with a plastic baggie containing a white substance. Mayo reported the wallet belonged to his ex-girlfriend. Both men denied owning the suspected drugs. The item tested positive for methamphetamine. Trial for one of the highest-ranking police officers on the force could be over, and it's barely even started. Crystal Paco has more from day one of the Mark Charfris trial.
Move it out of the roadway! Move these cars out of the roadway now!
Rewind nearly 2 years ago, Christmas Eve 2016 at an Agate home. This file police body camera footage shows an off-duty Mark Charfris and former police commander reacting at a scene of suspected illegal fireworks. Charfris is currently on trial for misdemeanor obstructing governmental functions and official misconduct charges. That trial was put to a screeching halt just hours after starting. Defense attorney Randy Cunliffe arguing for a mistrial.
Nothing to do with this case. There's no evidence of it. He's the highest ranking officer in the police department, save the chief of police. And they've been trying to smear this case from the very beginning. We're asking for a mistrial.
The motion followed a statement by GPD officer Craig Calvo. Calvo was one of the first on the scene and the first to testify for the government on Wednesday.
I had reason to believe that the colonel was affiliated with the Agate Blood gang.
ABT is a local gang. Prosecutor Pete Santos urged the court to keep the statements on the record.
There's a reputation that Mr. Charfris is affiliated with Agate Bloodtown. Is something that all the police officers in the Agate precinct and further are keenly aware of. And that is a fact of this case, and that is one of the elements, it supports one of the elements that's the reason why he came over there to thwart this investigation, because of who it was that called him. And so if it's prejudicial, that's just the facts. That it goes to the intent of Mr. Charfris abusing his authority.
The court requested the parties to submit their motions in writing and to make additional arguments on Thursday morning. Early Wednesday morning, parties delivered their opening statements. According to prosecution, officers could hear and see fireworks and identify the source on top of a second-story house. Shortly after, Charfris showed up yelling, prompting officers to leave the scene and abandon their investigation. Prosecution stated this case is about the rule of law and that everyone is subject to the law, most especially high-ranking officials. Defense, however, argues Charfris was only doing the right thing, that officers couldn't perform a search of the home without a warrant. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Crystal Paco.
2 former cargo workers are sentenced in federal court for their part in stealing thousands of dollars worth of items being sent in the mail. 27-year-old Thomas Atoigui and 23-year-old Austin J. Nicholas were convicted of mail theft. Investigators say Atoigui worked as a cargo screener for Unlimited Services Group, which at the time was a subcontractor under United Airlines for the handling of cargo for the U.S. Postal Service. Atoigui stole numerous items from the mail system, such as televisions, computers, watches, speakers, hydro flasks, vape juices, Apple products, and more, totaling over $16,000. He would even gift some of the stolen goods to relatives. St. Nicholas was the company's cargo lead who stole multiple packages, including televisions, a Sony PlayStation 4, a Samsung phone speakers, various Apple products, and a Springfield firearm. Atoigui is sentenced to 2 years probation. St. Nicholas is sentenced to 5 months home detention and must use an electronic monitoring system. Both were also ordered to pay a $100 fine and perform 100 hours of community service. Help for victims of Typhoon Yutu in the CNMI continues to pour in. Students from John F. Kennedy High School presented 2 checks totaling $2,052 to Senator Jim Espaldon, representing the Ajuda Foundation. The students said they launched their fundraising efforts the day after the storm as a call to action. Saipan and Tinian are still recovering from the devastating storm, which is considered one of the strongest in the world this year. Sports is next, but first, here's the weather.
Join the thousands who switched to GTA's handset payment option.
Now I can get the freshest new phone at any time.